So looking at those two primary factors, right, we have poses and time, right? Position and time. So let's just kind of hone in a little bit more on what kind of poses do we want to use. Most of the time when you do your animation, you usually want most actions are going to be completed in these 3 stages. So typically you're going to anticipate the action, you're going to complete the action, and then there's going to be a reaction afterwards. Like usually it's the settle or where you end up. Okay. So think about it. If you were going to have a character and they were going to swing a bat, they don't just push the bat forward. They pull the bat behind them, right, behind their head. Then that's the anticipation, and then they wait there, right? And the longer they wait, the more power you assume you're going to see when they go to do the swing, right? It's like in physics, right? It's the what's that called? It's the buildup of force or whatever, right? So that's the anticipation. If I was going to get up out of a chair, right, I wouldn't just get up out of the chair. Very often you'll see people lean backwards first, and then they'll go forward. Most of the time when you see anticipation, it's usually the reverse of what the action is going to be. Almost all motions will have some sort of anticipation, even if it's only just a slow motion towards in the direction of what the action is. It'll still have anticipation. Especially traditional animation has a lot of anticipation in it. So in this example here, he's going to jump. So before he jumps, he squats down, and then he'll do the jump, right? The action is actually, the meat where the actual motion is complete. So again, with the bat example, right, the swing is the actual action. The jump here is the actual action. Any number of things, right? Those would be the action. What you will find interesting is that most of the time, for both like traditional animation as well as, let's say, video game animation, the action is usually very, very short. That's actually, out of this whole group of things, this is usually the shortest one. And that's because, like, let's say we're doing a fighting game, right? When I hit the button, the action has to be pretty immediate because I want it, when I hit it, that they're going to punch immediately, okay? So the action is the primary motion, from getting from point A to point B. So this car is a bad example, but if I was going to have it drive across and I'm doing a typical cartoony animation, you would see the car go, like maybe squish backwards a little bit, and then you go, whoop, and then it would break and it would wobble at the end, okay? So the action would just be that quick swipe. The reaction is what happens afterwards. It's the the loss of force. Typically there'll be a little bit of a bounce or a wiggle. The recovery of whatever the action is. So most of the time when you do your stuff, you really want to hone in on these 3 aspects. Okay, especially anticipation. And action usually gets the least amount of love, which you would think it would get the most, but in actual traditional animation, that's what you want. So most of the time when you're doing a pose design, these are kind of the primary poses, positional data that you're going to complete.